Hey, I'm Cebeaux, and we're finna discuss PC Live 2024 that happened this past weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about day two. They ain't hold no punches on day two neither. Okay, it's Terrica talking about we chain breakers.
Because the devil can't have me or my family. This is an eviction notice to the enemy. What? The chain breakers in the room say.
We gonna start day two all right. I told my team I wasn't coming up this morning. I was tired. Let me sleep a little bit more. But let me tell you something. I couldn't sleep. It was burning on the inside of me. That much was burning on the inside of me.
I said the devil can't have me or my family. This is an eviction notice to the enemy. Chain breakers in the room.
Some of you like me, you don't feel hell to be in this room. Some of you like me, you had to see people behind. You had to go and get it by yourself. There's some people who could understand why you needed to be in Atlanta, Georgia today.
Break, 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 break. Chain breakers in the room.
I didn't even see myself in these type of rooms. Like when I bought the ticket, because it was for a Black Friday sale for like a little PDF about real estate investment. Because I will always say to myself, like, dang, I really want to own a house that I can rent out to somebody who may not have it like that to get a house, but like they make enough money to like rent out the house or whatever. Or like I'll always be like, dang, I really want to own a venue. You know what I'm saying? Like I've said that to myself for years. Both me and my husband been saying that like for years. And to see myself in a room with all these people who have accomplished that and other people who aspire to do the same thing I'm doing, I'm just like, it's so priceless, y'all. And I didn't even think I was going to something like this. I was just buying like a little PDF. I thought I was buying like a little PDF in a course. And it was a ticket to PC Live not PC Live. It was a ticket to the property challenge in January. And after the property challenge, that's when Terrica opened up the doors to become part of the inner circle. And here I am, connected to so many people where ownership is our birthright. Wow. So day two actually started off with a bonus section with Corey Jack. And he really taught us how we should be setting up our LLCs. He is so knowledgeable. Like, he's the reason why I have like my LLCs set up the way that I have them set up and structured. And even though I did them myself, but just being able to have him as an asset to be able to pick his brain, because I was part of the inner circle, like that was priceless, because I didn't realize like some of the strategies that I could implement unless I would have talked to that man or like, just attended his sessions and things of that nature. So really, really dope individual. Like if you have any questions about like LLCs or anything like that, like Jack and Associates, and they help out with anybody in all 50 states. But day two, first speaker was Brandy Harvey. When I say that girl came out swinging, okay? Like she spoke on standing on kingdom business, right? And first thing she said was, when you're building your kingdom business, you need to set a standard of excellence, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm like, dog, like when you think about it, she not wrong. How you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm like, dang, I really need to change some things. Because I can't pick and choose how I do something. I can't pick and choose. Like, how I do anything is how I need to do everything. So if I'm going to give my best in this avenue, I need to do my best in all aspects, in all avenues. The second thing she said was you got to do the work and you got to show your work. And, you have to show up like with the work. You have to get there early. You have to set yourself apart. She was like, you have to give at least 4% to yourself, which is only about an hour. Like, how often do we give out the best of ourselves to anything and everybody else, but we can't even give ourselves an hour? I'd say ouch on that part, because I'd be like, dang, I do be doing that sometimes. Third thing she said, you have to believe bigger. I get what I had the power to believe for. So this kind of goes back to like what we speak out of our mouths comes to pass. I believe I'm going to get 4 doors every month. I believe that I'm going to be fully debt free. I believe that I'll be able to tell my husband he can quit his job. I don't know if he's going to be watching this video. I believe that. I believe that I'm going to be able to buy my mama a house. Fully paid for, debt free. And like, those were really just the three huge points that she had. But she said, I think this is her book. The book is called Breakthrough Sold Separately. Like, when you by yourself, are you willing to do what it takes to get your breakthrough? My God. And then, of course, Damon, he came back reiterating what she taught, but then he added on to what she said. It was like, you have to commit as a 4th point to the 3 points that Brandy already said, right? He was like, you got to commit. And commitment is like, it's different from interest. Like, are you interested in this or are you committed to this? And your commitment is you standing on kingdom business. Like I said, these folks was preaching, okay? Next we had Smitty the GOAT. So y'all are not, so my Twitch community is not, like, they know a little bit about Smitty a little bit. But Smitty, he was dropping some knowledge about how you can really start utilizing other people's money to get credit cards so you can start investing in real estate. I'm not mad at the knowledge that was dropped. Like, if you're not following Smitty to GOAT on socials, he drops like a lot of this knowledge consistently. It's really good information just for credit in general. Like, make sure that your credit is in a good space to where, like, when it comes time for you to want to like invest in something, you'll be able to do that. After Smitty, we had Damon come back up, dropped another little nugget, you know what I'm saying? And he said, to believe is to accept something as true. It's kind of funny how in the center of the word believe is lie, which is, to, deceive or be deceptive, which is the definition of what a lie is. But are you willing to come to the sea with a teaspoon, or are you willing to come to the sea with a bucket, right? What do you believe for you? So are you going to come with a teaspoon amount of faith, or are you going to come with a bucket full amount of faith? Like I said, these folks was preaching, okay? After that, we had an inner circle panel, and it was so dope because somebody who's in my accountability group, even though he don't ever show up to none of the accountability calls, but after I met him there, I was like, yeah, you don't never be in the accountability calls. What's up with that? You know how I be, y'all. I said, where your antennas be at? He's like, man, I'll be busy. I'm like, I know you be busy, but you can bring your antennas to the call at least. You know what I'm saying? You could be talking in the chat. I gave him a hard time, but like, it was all out of love. But the inner circle panel was so dope because you got to see somebody who's like a part of the OG group. You got to see somebody who became an ambassador, and then also somebody who just came in the cycle that I came in, which was January. Like, he is shaking it. He's doing the thing. And so I'm really proud of him and really, glad to be connected to him. He was extra. And it was so funny because when I met him on day 1, I was like, bro, you just be everywhere, huh? He was like, yeah, man. He was like, I got to talk to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at it. Do your thing or whatever. I was like, I just be people watching. So you do your thing. Do your thing. Like, I ain't mad at you. But yeah, he's doing the thing, man. And he was so encouraging with his words. It was one thing that I really pulled out from this panel was that, knowledge will make room for you. You get equity for the knowledge because of partnerships. So because of the partnerships that I decide to make or whatever, I get equity for that. And that's usually how a lot of these partnerships in real estate happen. Like, you can be in a partnership because you have the knowledge to be able to handle the type of transaction in the real estate deal. Whereas somebody can come to the table with just the money because they don't have the knowledge about it. They just got the money to do it. You know what I'm saying? So you have a partnership. And that's how a lot of these real estate deals be happening for real. Wild. And you have to kill fear because fear is not of God. And I've said this a lot. 2 Timothy 1:7, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You have to kill fear. Fear is a spirit and it does not belong anywhere near you or me. Of course, Damon came out, dropped some old nuggets. He said, imagine you having a blessing as big as your belief. Like, y'all, I think so. Something that like was really, that really just resonated with me just now. Like somebody in my community before was like, you're really shifting my perspective because you're helping me dream bigger than I have before. And it's really only because that of who I chose to surround myself by and who I choose to be connected to and connected with. If we're not shifting other people's perspectives to want to think and dream and believe for bigger and better, like what are we really doing? Next we had Marcus. My Lord, when I say Marcus Rogier, I think that's how you say his last name. That man funny. He taught so much. When I say that man, he came out the gate swinging. Okay. He said, throw yourself at your future. And he said, you need to stop borrowing from your future by procrastinating. And he was like, when he put it into perspective that you're in debt now because you borrowed, your past borrowed from your future, I was like, oh my God. Like when he put it in like terms of like money like that, I was like, oh my God. I really am in debt because my past self was borrowing from now. There's some things stopping me because I borrowed, my past self borrowed from my now, which was my future. And honestly, I had to think about it. I was like, dang, what if I didn't take the leap and join the inner circle back in January? What if I would have went down to PC Live, right? With the same situation that I'm in right now, right? And the opportunity for me to join the inner circle came up and I wasn't able to join. I think about that a lot. He really broke down the fact that like God respects our intellect. He respects how smart we are. And so a lot of times we'll be like, oh, I'm just waiting for God to tell me what I should do next. When God respects our authority in making decisions. Like our life changes when we make a decision, which goes back from what I said before. You have to make a decision. You have to choose to do something. God has these promises for us, but we have to choose to make a decision so we can get the promise that God has for us. My God, I could have thrown my shoe at that man. I would be barefoot if I was throwing shoes at everybody. Funny enough, he also taught about the story of the woman with the issue of blood and really reiterated what Terrica said on day one. That's crazy, right? And so he left these principles. He said, we got to search our bag, right? What gifts do we have in our bag? Because everything, God gave us everything. He equipped us with everything for us to be able to get the bag that we deserve, right? So he said, we got to search our bag. We have to become the bag, right? Because we're solutions to problems that other people have. And he used Genesis 17:5. Abram versus Abraham, right? Exalting your father versus being father over many nations. Because those are the definitions of Abram and Abraham, right? And what was so funny was when he got the name Abraham didn't have a child yet. So that's where the promise of God is, right? The promises of God, like we see the promises of God, but we don't have it yet, right? And it's frustrating because it's like, you gave me this name. You said you said this was a promise, but I ain't got it yet. And then the third point he left us with, we have to get to the bag. That includes, learning how money works, which is funny because money is like the trash of heaven. Money is the trash of heaven. And it's so funny because your money ain't worth nothing if you just hold on to it. You have to invest it in order for it to be actually worth something. When I tell y'all, I really could have thrown my shoes at all these folks over the weekend. So after Marcus, Tiffany Hayes came up. And hers was how to secure your victory. And so she came with, the scripture of Ephesians 3:20, and that everything that we've ever dreamed of is God's floor. Ain't that crazy? Like anything that we ever, like any big dream that we've ever had is literally God's floor. There's nothing to God. Ugh. The scripture reference that Tiffany came with was Exodus 14:13, which was, I shall see my enemy no more forever. And a lot of times we have to, whenever we take medicines, whenever we take antibiotics, even though we may feel better, we still have to finish out the whole thing just to ensure that, the little infection doesn't come back, right? And like, it really doesn't matter like where we start, right? We just start. Her 3 principles for securing a victory: we have to hold every thought captive, which is 2 Corinthians 10:3-5. Anytime that we have a thought, we have to cast it down if it doesn't align with God's promises. Headshots only. We have to take the word of God, which is bullets, and take those bullets and send headshots to the enemy with the word of God. The second thing she said was you have to speak life. Another prominent theme of this entire weekend. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. And this is a law. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, this is a law. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So if you sit there and say, oh, I'm sick, I'm never going to be nothing, I'm never going to get out of this situation, what do you think is going to happen? Every word that you say is a seed. This is according to Genesis 1:11. Seeds are within the fruit. We are the fruit. And so every word that we say is a seed. So how is it that like we're speaking these things, got these trees sprouting up? Stuff that we may not have intended to, may have not really meant to say or really intended to say, but we said it. And now we have these things come to fruition in our lives because we spoke it. Oh, and she also mentioned Romans 4:17, words follow the principle or the rule of reaping and sowing. So you reap what you sow. You're reaping the fruit from the words that you sowed back then. Like, it's wild when you think about that. And so the third thing she said was you have to come into agreement with God's math. And so Tiffany Hayes is known for God's math. God's math, she says, it disrupts, it breaks the rules, it's mind-boggling, and it's supernatural. If y'all have never had the pleasure of hearing her testimony when it comes to God's math, essentially she was working this job, and anytime she got into like a little pinch or a little struggle, she would just work overtime. But then she got a promotion where she became salary. And so she was working all these hours, but she wasn't getting overtime for it anymore. And so eventually her and her husband got so behind that, they had to file bankruptcy. And so at the time, she was like, you know what, this is never going to happen to me again. And I'm going to use this room to make a business out of, right? And so then that's when she found her bag in becoming a virtual assistant where, and she was able to niche down to become like a real estate virtual assistant. From there, I think she said in about, in like 6 months, she was making so much more money than she would have been at her normal job. And she said the principle that came to her was that even though she was technically bankrupt, right? She was becoming a millionaire at the same time. And so it doesn't matter what your situation looks like. God's math, which is what was happening in her life at that moment, was it disrupts, it breaks the rules, it's mind-boggling, and it's supernatural. And so even though she was bankrupt, right, and she had to wait like 2 additional years outside of the bankruptcy because it was already like 7 years for her, with her business, as she done became like a millionaire, she was able to get like 23 doors. Like, God's math. So after that, Damon came back out and he added on to it, right? And he was like, the word supernatural means some force beyond the scientific or the laws of nature. And so he said, he made us say that we are supernatural, we break the rules, and we are mind-boggling. Y'all like, I hope y'all are being fed just off of this recap alone, because like I want to cry again, because I was crying. Of course I be crying like anytime that like God is talking to me or anything like that, and it's just, child, so good. After Tiffany Hayes came out, and Damon came out. It was Investor Tank. So this is when people in the inner circle can present deals to Terrica, Derek, and other investors. So it was Terrica, Derek, Palmy Kitty, Tiffany Montgomery, Tiffany Hayes, and Kenneth Igwe. Kenneth Igwe is a phenomenal person. He works with Baker Collins, I believe. Yes, Baker Collins. And they're hard money lenders. He's been in the game for years. So a lot of times he will partner with a lot of investors, or he'll help get a lot of these deals funded. And just with his knowledge and everything, he'll be like, this is not really a good deal with that, or that's not a really great deal, blah, 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 blah. Like, fantastic mind. You have this fire panel, right? It's really hard to recap. Like, you really have to see that type of thing in person. But just think of like Shark Tank, but for real estate. It's really like that, for real. And it was so funny because, Inner Circle, we like a family. So anytime like, our brother or sister was up there and they was presenting, and like they needed some numbers crunched real quick, we was doing it for them. Like, we was like, what's this number and this number, blah, 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 and we would be yelling it out and stuff like that. Or we like, no, y'all not gonna play them. Like, we was like that for real. Like, we real dope like that for real. It was great because I think we only saw 3, and 2 out of the 3 deals got invested into. And the only reason why like the first one didn't get invested into is because it was such a creative property type. The risk was too high. But like, just the experience that, my sister in the inner circle got, like, I was just like, dang, that is so dope. Like, so cool. So Investor Tank was a W. Okay, like, so good. Next after that was Damon. He came back out and he basically said, applied knowledge is power. Anything that you apply, like the knowledge that you apply is powerful. And after Damon came back out, we had Nehemiah Davis. And when I say this man was so high energy, like, he did not be still the entire time he was talking. He was just walking around the room the entire time. Walking around the room. He was not still for 1 minute. I'm sitting here like this. Every time. High energy, high income. Shout out to Damon Dillard. His dad been in jail since he was 2. He was around drug dealers and everything. He was starting to get into these better environments, but every time he would get into these better environments, he would like get kicked out or get fired. So like, every job he was a part of, every job he had, he got fired. He got kicked out of college because he wasn't going to class because of who he was around. He was in this high school and he was, hanging with the wrong folks, so he got kicked out of high school. Nehemiah was explaining that like, at like his very last job, they said like people was like trying to like retire from or whatever, right? But he was a poop boy, so he'll like get all the poop off from like the plane, and he got fired from that. One thing that he said was, and he reiterated, he said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And he said that I'm all in every single day. And so it's about being proactive, doing stuff now, and stop waiting until later to do something, stop procrastinating. And you have to decide, like, the most important thing you would do is to make a decision. What are you claiming for your life when you decide? He said environment is everything. And he said once your mind is expanded to a new concept or idea, it's so hard for your mind to go back to its original state of thinking or original way of thinking. And so it's like, dang. Once your mind is like exposed to something new or something amazing, like, it's hard for your mind to go back to like the way it thought. And I thought about that. I was like, dang. When my mind has been expanded, it's like, dang, you're right. I don't be going back. I don't be going back to think about like the old stuff. You have to hold on to your vision. And he said you can't listen to what they say, right? Because if he would have listened to he would have been in jail. He would have been like his daddy. He would have been a drug dealer. He would have been this. He would have been that. Instead of being a multimillionaire that he is today. If he would have listened to right? It was so funny because he was like, how many times or who told you that going to PC Live would have been a scam? And he said, a scam is nothing but people that's still confused about money. And I said, that's crazy. Like, when you think about it like that, folks that like don't understand like you making the decisions to do the stuff that you're doing or to go after the things that you're trying to go after, it's because people still confused about money. And I was like, wow. He just kept reiterating the fact. It's like, you have no other option but to make your business work. It has to work or it has to work. And I said that plenty of times. I've been saying that since January of this year. It has to work or it has to work, right? He said you have to hold on to your vision. And he was like, it won't always happen like when you want it to happen. But you have to stay and you have to become and you have to stay diligent. And it was so funny because he came out with this acronym. He said I think he said like his business associate came out with this. And he said, power is property owners win every recession. And I was like, dang, y'all spitting fire. So then he got into like, FHA loans and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into the meat and potatoes of that because I still need to do a little bit more research on this myself. And he was talking a little bit too fast to me. And I was trying to keep up with him because he kept on moving. So I was a little bit distracted. And then he was like, in order to win, you need to do whatever it takes as long as it's legal and ethical. And he was like, and if you have to execute on this, he said, none of the info that you get will help if you don't do anything with it. Post editing Cebeaux here. I forgot to mention Mama T. Mama T really showed how important it is for you to get these bricks out here. If y'all don't know who Mama T is, if y'all know who Eric Thomas is, that's Mama T. And she really showed the importance of, it doesn't matter at what age you start this real estate investment journey. It's important for you to start. She came from South side of Chicago, and she got these bricks, honey. She's taking care of her husband right now because he's not really mobile, and so she really did a lot to come to PC Live and ensure that her husband was taken care of, so she could be on the stage just to talk with us. So my bad, Mama T. It was not intentional. I did manage to take down any notes from her session, but she deserves just as much of a mention in this video because she really did drop that knowledge and it was very appreciated. Bye and happy Juneteenth. That was like the day part. The 90s party that evening, right? And again, I didn't know what I was expecting. I just knew that they was giving away 2 houses, right? Your girl was trying to win me one of them houses, okay? I was trying to come back and be like, y'all, I want a house. Y'all. I want my first investment property. I ain't win a house, but I celebrated the people who did win. The evening of day 2, when I say, I don't know what I was expecting for day 2, for like the evening of day 2. Like, I knew it was going to be a party, but I didn't know it was going to be a party, okay? I thought the party with Genuine from day 1 was lit, right? We had Q Parker from 112 come through. We had Sammy. We had Jace from So For Real. We had Pleasure from Pretty Ricky come through. We had Mila from 702. We had a time, okay? Like they said, come in your 90s dress attire or whatever. I ain't coming no 90s dress attire. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was just like, I'm gonna wear what I wore before and we just finna make it shake. Cause I ain't trying to be cold. So I had on my jacket that I showed and I had on my hat and I had the hoodie and the jacket so I wouldn't be cold. Baby, and I was hot because I was sitting there singing and everything. Had a time with that. And then the DJ playing like all the little dance songs and stuff like that and everything. And then they did the house giveaway. So actually they did a raffle first. So it was a money that they raised for Habitat Humanity. And they gave like half of the prize bucket to the winner or whatever. So if you donated money to that, half of that pot, you would have won that. So they raised about like $10,500 or something like that. And so the person walked away with like $5,000 or something like that. So really dope that they walked away with $5,000 and the $10,500 they gave that to Habitat Humanity. And then they did the house giveaway. So they gave away 2 houses, right? And so I was hoping and praying. I'm like, Lord, let me win this house. Let me win this house, Lord. I ain't win, but it was so good to celebrate the people who won those 2 houses. And they also like drew like 3 names for runner-ups, because they was like, if they decide to decline, getting the house, because when you win a house, you have to pay the taxes on the house. And so that's why a lot of people, like, if they win a house, they don't technically really get the house, because you have to pay the taxes on that house. But either way it goes, I was really happy that the people who won the house, especially the second person, because she had an amazing testimony, because she was talking about how like her bank accounts got frozen of her trying to get down here, and like every roadblock you could think of that would prevent her from coming to peace of life, she persevered and she ended up winning the house. So I was like, you know what, I can't even hate you for real. I not hate you, but like I can't even hate for real, because it's like, how can you hate? Like, they won a house, like, you know what I'm saying? And plus, you would want somebody to celebrate you if you want something and I hate. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it was just really dope. And it was just exciting to be able to see that. And for, Terrica Lynn Smith and the entire TLS team be able to give back like that. So, it was really dope. It was really amazing. Honestly, that's it about PC Live. This past weekend was mind-boggling, to say the least. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I'm part of the inner circle. I'm glad that I decided to say yes and pursue, even though I was unsure about any and everything, for real. But yeah, man, I had fun. I learned a lot. I relearned a lot. And that's really all I got for you. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification. Do all the things. Do all the doohickeys and whatnot. I plan on making more content. Whether it's going to be about me in another conference, or, whether I'm going to be live streaming video games. I'm not sure what it is. But y'all will see me soon. So once again, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get all the things, all the bells and whistles and things of that nature. And I appreciate y'all for watching this video. I love y'all, and I'll talk at y'all later. Bye.